One more thing I wanted to do before we jumped into a ball array, and that was I wanted to do. There was one debugging thing, so I set a breakpoint here that I wanted to show you. So I set a breakpoint. I've enabled debugging mode, everything. Now you guys should be experts in debugging. I hit play. I'm at the breakpoint. See the little arrow? Okay. Now this should invoke the constructor, right? And so what if we don't, if we hit step over, or step, which is the same thing as step over and other debuggers, what's going to happen is it's going to execute this line of code and come down here. But let's say we're like, oh, okay, so then we hit the constructor. I want to jump into the constructor, okay? Well, then we use step into. And it actually, I tried this a few times, and I had to hit step into twice, and then the third time it jumps into it. And I think the reason is because the first time you step into, it tries to step into this function, but it can't. I don't think processing lets you see its code. And so it stops you. And then the second time you try to step into it, tries to step into this function because it needs to evaluate both of these before the constructor is called. It needs to give it a value between -5 and 5 here and give it a value between -5 and 5 here before it jumps in to the constructor. And then the third time you hit it, it'll jump in. Okay? And so let's do that together. Unfortunately, step into is hidden. It's up here. I wish it was up here. I wonder if we can change that. If someone could figure out how to change that, that would be awesome. But I don't think, it might not be possible. So I step into once, nothing happens. My ball is there though. It's equal to null right now because we haven't invoked the constructor on it. So that's a good lesson too, right? So my ball is gonna be null. It's gonna be a null reference, right? I am going to step into again, and it didn't let me step into this one. And then the third time is a charm, I believe. And by that I mean the fourth time is a charm. The fourth time is a charm. So I don't know. I don't know why it's 4 times. I had a theory on 3 times, but I don't have a theory on 4 times. Okay? Now look at the variables window here. I've jumped in and suddenly there are a bunch of different variables. Okay? And we can see everything that's going on here. So int center x is 960. Int center y is 540, right? Int velocity x is being set to 1, so that random evaluated to 1. Int velocity y is being set to -1, so it's random between -5 and 5, evaluated to -1. Initial height is 30, and initial width is 30, and none of these variables have been set yet. But the constructor is going to solve that, because the point of the constructor is to set our state variables, right? So if I step through this using the step button, I get here, and center x is going to be set to init center x, and there, and then so center x gets that value, center y gets that value. We're rolling. Okay, and if I step one more time, this is the end of the function. It's gonna kick me back out. I could also, if I was here and like, okay, I got what this function's doing, I'm gonna step out. I could come up over here and say step out. And it'll step out prematurely and go back to, it'll evaluate that line. So it'll be like hitting step over. I'm just gonna step one more time. And we're back here, okay? And now, if I step, the ball is an instance of ball array fun ball. Well, that's fun. What does that mean? Well, if you click here, notice a ball has a center x, a center y, a velocity x, a velocity y, a ball height, and a ball width. Okay? And if I continue at this point, we would expect to see the ball go in the plus x direction and the negative y direction, at least initially. So the negative y direction up and the plus X direction to the right. So up and to the right, which is a reference. Okay, doesn't matter. I've never actually seen that movie. There was a JFK. I think it was born on the 4th of July. Oliver Stone. I don't know. Why am I don't even know why I'm talking. So I'm gonna hit continue and let's see if it goes up and to the right. And how do I continue? Oh, I continue with this button. So I'm gonna hit continue. And did it give me my thing? Yeah. And it went up and to the right. Amazing stuff, this debugger. And what's kind of cool about the debugger, it shows you exactly what's in memory. So let's start using the debugger. And the way you do it is you come up here and you enable the debugger and you set a breakpoint and you can cycle through your code and see what's going on with it. I think you can actually change the values of these things. Is that true? I think you could like come in here and be like, what if the value was this? At least in other debuggers you can. I don't know if that's if that's possible here, but you could try it. Try to change the values of stuff in the middle of the program. Be like, I don't want that variable to be that value. I want that variable to be this value, and type it in. Which is also super helpful. You're like, oh, I need that variable to happen to be this value to check this, right? I need that variable to be 0 so I can check if my code for handling this being picked as 0 works. Okay. All right. Next video.